Hi, welcome to the Market Alert, Friday the 21st of October 2016. So yesterday, this is the live trade captured yesterday. We had the market opening initially. It was quite volatile actually, some good nearly 50 point bars, and then eventually the market moved higher, traded up to the 18,250 level, found resistance there, and then for whatever reason decided to sell all the way back off to the 18,150 level. And then a bit later on we had a buy signal, which you'll see appear now. This was filled at the 20 bar average as well. Market drove through this. No surprise really, as I keep saying, they want to bring the market back to the highs. They don't want this market falling, especially if they get to Hillary. Hillary is the one for the markets, by the way, as well, not Trump. If he gets in, the markets will fall. If she gets in, we'll be heading for 20,000 because she's bought and paid for by the banks, as I showed you the other week. If I didn't, she was paid a 675,000 in fees from Goldman alone in after dinner speeches. She's bought and paid for by the banks. So here we see the market go through the scalp back to the 18,200, and then as the market continues to move higher there, 50 odd points, you'll see me move in there, and I've just put the stop underneath the low there at 0. It's a psychological level, that's the reason for doing it, and just to see if the market would go back to the high that it made earlier. Traded sideways, so I started to tuck underneath because once the market's had that first hour, it generally goes quiet, and then eventually the market comes back and takes it out for a profit of 43 points. Now let's talk about the run up to the US election as well. When to stop trading? Well, the answer to that is very simple actually. You will get no volatility in the first hour. We know from the open at the moment the markets are quite volatile first hour, second hour not so good, which is why I keep sending notes out saying finish for the day. Market's going to go sideways, and that's what it's precisely what it's done. And also, if we just fast forward this, you'll see the same thing for last night as well, market sideways. So really it's easy to calculate and to work out, because the market will actually have no volatility. It will just be like this, it will just be sideways, and you'll get a losing trade at the off, whereas at the moment you've got the momentum to generally give you the winning trade on the first trade. So again, you're going to have to do it on a day by day basis, but at the moment the first hour is the way to measure how much volatility there is. If there's plenty of movement like we had yesterday, you can see, I'll just wind this back a bit, you'll see the volatility here when the market opened. You can see there lots of big bars and moving and then reversing and then moving, so you know we've got some momentum in the market. If they sell it off like this, or if the market drops, then they will bring it back as well. It takes a bit longer to bring it back, but then we end up in that sideways situation. So just keep an eye on the first hour. That's the way to actually measure what the market is likely to do for the rest. But the pattern has been for the last few weeks busy for the first part of the session, starts to fall off towards the latter part of the first session. What I mean by that is there you've got that in there. See with it, but they're bringing the market back yesterday, and then it just traded sideways, and that's what you can use to measure how well the market's or how much momentum and volatility the market has. On the overnight markets, it's just been sideways to lower, and in the daily chart, again we can see the mess that the market is at the moment. Fortunately, just enough momentum to pull a few points per day, but incredibly sideways, and you can see it's getting narrower as well. We were sort of this range and then this range, and then we had a bit of a shakeout there, but now this week you can see the range. And in fact, let's just measure it just out of curiosity. Yesterday's high down to Monday's low, which will just bring that over to there so I can get a measurement. So about a 200 point range including the overnight, which is not that great, but that's the way it's been all week. News wise today, what have we got? Nothing. All over and done by 11:15 a.m. So again, just to recap, watch the first hour. After the first hour, the market's likely to become quiet. And again, I won't be here this evening anyway. I've been invited to friends of ours who own a brewery for a festival they're holding, so I won't be here this evening trading anyway if there is some volatility, but I'll take a view later on this afternoon. But as again, just to repeat again, watch the first hour. After the first hour and a half, 2 hours, if it starts to drop off, it's likely to remain that way unless there's something else that comes out and moves the markets. On the implied volatility 1218, this was sideways during yesterday, so again fairly quiet, again just reflecting the underlying market, so you'd expect to see the same there. So that's it really. Deutsche Bank went up yesterday to €13. Again, the whole thing's being rigged and fudged. Obviously, amazing how, a few weeks ago you got it down at 9.91, then it's back up, and now we're at 13. Nothing has been sorted with regards to the Department of Justice deal on the 14 billion fine. They've just been fined 38 million as well for silver manipulation, and yet the market's up. So we know it's been rigged. There's just simply no other way. Now, a few years ago, before high frequency trading and computers and everything else, this wouldn't be sitting where it is now. That's a certain fact, because the infrastructure wasn't in place in order to do that. So it's just a rig game at the moment. They're just keeping this market afloat because the last thing they want is a banking crisis, and Obama doesn't want it on his watch. No doubt he's told Yellen that in no uncertain terms as well in the secret meeting they had earlier this year. Anyway, that's it. I will see you in Mondays. Have a great weekend and report in anon if there's something to say. And as ever, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.